As much as they're trying to convince you that it is, this is not a dire wolf. This is not a de-extinction. And I quote, "This is a designer dog. This is a genetically modified gray wolf." So the company Colossal is famous for its mission of bringing back extinct species, one of them being the woolly mammoth, which they are trying to bring back by 2028. And on October 1st, 2024, they claim that they have de-extincted the dire wolf. Using fossils, so they used the ear and the tooth, they extracted ancient DNA. So they then looked at how the dire wolf's genome compared to a gray wolf, because they claim, and this isn't peer reviewed, their DNA is about 95% similar. So they looked at that remaining 5% and they ended up editing 14 different genes. But instead of using the dire wolf's DNA, it is a gray wolf that's been modified to look like one. So they looked at the jaw, they looked at the color of the fur, and things like that. Now, what Colossal's claiming is that if it looks like a dire wolf and it acts like a dire wolf, then it must be a dire wolf. But this goes against science as we know it, because way back in the day, scientists would classify species by how they look. So if they looked the same, then it was assumed they were the same species. But it wasn't until DNA sequencing became very cheap and accessible, we found out they were indeed separate species. This is what we in science call cryptic species. So, for example, the Nile crocodile. It wasn't until 2011 when we started sequencing their DNA that they found out that the Nile crocodile is actually two separate species. Two completely separate species can evolve to look the same because they are facing similar challenges in the wild. So this is the same with the dire wolf and the wolf. They look so similar, but they're actually distantly related. So even though they lived during the same period, they are in fact very different species that are separated by like 5.7 million years. And it's actually more closely related to the African jackal. So the claim that just because this looks like a dire wolf or that whatever does not make it a dire wolf. A species is so much more complex than what it looks like. So although this is quite cool, this is just really science fiction.